Ok, le damos la bienvenida, en el fondo le damos la bienvenida al grupo Hootie the Blowfish. Esto es un especial en vista de la cantidad de cartas y de emails y de respuesta de ustedes en Latinoamérica que querían saber un poco más del grupo. Bueno, aquí está el grupo en pleno. Hootie the Blowfish, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
This is MTV for all the Latin American audience, so it's kind of a new audience as maybe you feel like about European audience. Latin American audience is it's like people who are like watching MTV because of now MTV is in Latin America, and it's impossible to avoid. Hootie the Blowfish is the biggest thing in the States. So according to the mail we've received, we've got some like rumors in Latin America about like the band being formed by a project of a record label. Maybe you guys got together in Pennsylvania. What's the truth about like Hootie and the Blowfish?
I think if somebody had like put together a band, it wouldn't have been. These four guys wouldn't have been big fans.
They would have got much prettier,
much better. Yeah, better musicians probably. But
so the band started where?
We started at the University of South Carolina.
Okay.
In 1985, the fall of 1985. Darius and I lived on the same dorm hall, and we started playing acoustic shows. And then Dean and I had played in bands together in high school, so we got Dean to play bass, and we had a different drummer at the time. And we just started playing cover songs while we were students at the university.
Okay.
And then we graduated in 1989, and right around the time we were getting ready to graduate, our other drummer decided not to be in the band anymore, so we found Sony, played drums, and started writing songs. I guess ever since about fall of '89, we've been playing original music and playing clubs and stuff, and I guess we signed our record deal in fall of 1993.
And what about the style of the music, as you were talking about? There's a mix of like country, southern, folk, blues. There's a lot of things, but how do you explain that this is appealing to like the alternative audience, like a very young audience, a very old audience? How do you...
I mean, I think that part of that comes from like the '80s, like where we came from, where like folk had kind of melded with rock to, kind of like the REM kind of alternative music, and I think we just kind of took it a step further and doing that.
Yeah, since we all come from different backgrounds and all those musical tastes are brought together, I think that's why it appeals to a lot of people out here.
Hold My Hand was the first and like the huge hit. Was a very good way to start a rock review, the album. And I've read somewhere like in the infos that there was like a double meaning in Hold My Hand, as I quote, like very optimistic song for the 90s, because we're living like more like anguish things, and you were in charge of the lyrics.
Yeah. I didn't really think it would have any effect, It was one of the first songs when we sat down together that I brought in, and me and Mark were messing around with it, and I wrote some lyrics, and it was mostly just about some friends of mine that were maybe a little down and anguished themselves, and I thought it would be nice to help them. It's a song about helping other people, but it seems different because at the time, grunge music and the pain and the rebellion was a very popular lyric in rock and roll music, so I always felt it was a little bit out of place, a little bit cheesy, but it was always a popular song when we played it in the bars, and we thought it'd be a good chance to be a first single on Cracked Review. It worked pretty good.
Well, let's see the video. Veamos el video. Esto es Hold My Hand junto a Hootie and the Blowfish. Estamos en este especial junto a Hootie and the Blowfish. Once again, thank you for your time. You're about like going up there and play. How long have you been doing this? Like, how many shows have you done in your life?
Oh man.
Like
thousands.
A couple thousand probably.
More than a couple thousand.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I've heard about 300 shows a year.
That's a long time ago.
A long time ago?
Yeah, we're probably down to more like 150, 200 a year at this point.
Okay, so you're saving a little bit of energy just to...
Well, we used to have to do 300 shows a year just to get by. I mean, that was basically, we didn't have any record money or anything, so we didn't have a record deal, so we made our living by playing shows every night in small bars.
Okay.
Right, and also now when we go to make a record, we spend a couple months on the songs, trying, because we have a lot more songs, and we try to make them as good as we can.
Okay.
So, we don't tour while we're recording, so that takes away a lot of live show time, a couple months out of the year. So.
And what do you do just to not to lose control of yourselves in terms of like the hectic schedule of gigs and shows and like traveling from place to place, just to, I don't know.
Give each other a hard time and drink a lot of beer.
Okay, but what about like families and stuff and in the places you live, like you start like to miss family, house?
I mean, you know, that's just what we do. You know, we've been doing this for years. No one asked us to do it. You know? So we just, you knew you were sacrificing going into it. You know, we all knew what might happen. What there was a slim chance of happening, but if it happened, we knew what our lives would be like. So, you know, you just do it and don't really complain or worry about it because you know it's what you got to do.
I understand that you were a DJ in radio, like in your college times. How do you feel like when you go like to places like Europe or maybe in the future Latin America, and there are DJs in the radio who are programming in different languages, Hootie and the Blowfish?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, a dream. You're still doing that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you think about, I could have been on that side of things.
Okay.
You know, but I opted to do the band, you know, instead, and I'm glad I did.
Okay. And one thing, Hootie and the Blowfish and the relationship with sports, it's been always like your videos, sometimes basketball. I know that you're fond of golf. And what about that? Like, you were, soccer. You used to play soccer, which is not a very popular sport.
It's getting there.
It's getting
as
there.
big as Latin America, but it maybe never will be. But it's something we enjoy. We play a lot of video soccer too, and we're in Europe. A lot of the cup finals going on there. We watched all those.
So you take the guys to like introduce them to.
I try.
You play
to
soccer?
get them to watch it. Darius, for the first time this year, came through and admitted that he likes soccer.
Vamos a hacer una pausa y ya regresamos con este especial de Hootie and the Blowfish. Bueno, seguimos en esto que es el especial de Hootie and the Blowfish y vamos a hablar ahora un poco de lo más reciente que oímos del grupo con respecto a su presentación en Unplugged. You did a very special Unplugged because it wasn't Unplugged, but it wasn't like a small hall. It was like a huge thing, and back in South Carolina, I guess it was very meaningful for you guys.
I think it added something special that you can't really put your finger on. Just us being home and being in our home environment probably, I'm sure, lends to some warmth that you get. You know, I think you had to go to New York and tape it in this tight schedule, and without 5 other bands there, I think it would have lost something that was there.
Being acoustically, I mean, doing an Unplugged, it meant like a challenge for you, musically speaking.
Yeah, we sit around a lot of times when we write. It's almost always just like everyone with acoustic guitar, maybe someone hitting something, usually central, but and that's how they were written. And so for us, we were just stacking them off to where they were.
It's the first time that we're coming outdoors, and the biggest challenge is to capture that intimacy that we find in the Unplugged that we normally do in a small studio that we have 150, 200 people. Now we have a much bigger venue.
We've been talking about taking Unplugged outdoors, and for various reasons we haven't. It's not the best way to do audio for an acoustic show is outdoors, but when we came here and looked at it, visually it struck us, and it just made so much sense for the band and for the music that we figured we'd work around the audio issues.
There's an album called Sweet Relief, and it's an organization that takes care of musicians who don't have insurance. And the second Sweet Relief album is Songs of Vic Chestnut. And Nancy Griffith came to us last year and asked if we would like to do a song on Sweet Relief too, Songs of Vic Chestnut. And so we said yeah, and she came to the studio, we recorded the song Gravity of the Situation, and then when we did the Unplugged, we invited Nancy to South Carolina to do Gravity of the Situation. So here is our Unplugged version with Nancy Griffith of Gravity of the Situation.
Ya estamos de vuelta en este especial junto a Hootie and the Blowfish para, ya conversar de las cosas que competen más a los latinoamericanos, por ejemplo, cuando va la banda a tocar y eso. Do you speak some Spanish?
Sonny and I took a little in college, in colegio.
And you were good at it?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago, so I don't remember much of it.
Sonny's a Spanish speaker.
Yeah?
We don't remember anything.
That's not true.
Un poquito.
We could probably have a little conversation.
See? Ready? Hola. Me llamo Sonny.
Me llamo Sonny.
Me llamo Marcos.
¿Cómo estás?
Marcos instead of Mark, so it's a good translation.
That's it.
When you went to Europe, you had a chance of going to like places like France or whatever places people don't speak English. Yeah.
Germany, France, yes.
I have a question for you because for us, like the people, like Spanish-speaking people or French or German, it's very important the lyric part, and you don't include the lyrics in your albums.
The reason we don't put one of the reasons we didn't put lyrics in is just that it's really cool to like hear a song and make up your own lyrics. And then you can get a totally different meaning from it. 'Cause, I mean, some of the lyrics are hard to understand, and if you just get one word wrong, then the song can mean something totally different to you, and that's really cool.
Okay.
Because even though you might have written a song and meant one thing, once you write a song and put it out to the public, I mean, it belongs to everybody, and it's just cool for people to get. I love when people come up and say things like what they think a song means, and it's like not even remotely what I meant, but to them it's valid, and so that's a valid thought. I like that.
So you haven't heard the versions of it, the versions of Spanish-speaking people as a wash, whatever.
That's good though.
Fairweather Johnson came out in a moment that we work in MTV, so we're like watching the videos and whatever. We felt that a Crack Review was still very strong.
The main reason we did it was, because we're a live band and we just enjoy playing live, and we kind of ran out of songs. And we're kind of tired of playing just the songs from Crack Review. We played some of the stuff from Fairweather Johnson, but no one knew what it was or anything, so we kind of felt if we put it out, it would enable us to have a better show.
There's a show in which you haven't played Only Wanna Be With You?
No.
Certain songs we do every night.
There's one show that we didn't play Hold My Hand when we played the Bridge Crew benefit.
Yeah.
We didn't play Hold My Hand.
That was 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
25 minutes out, so that was acoustic.
Vamos a ver el video con Hootie the Blowfish antes de despedirnos. Esto es Only Wanna Be With You. Regreso y casi despidiéndonos, ya va a ser tiempo que, han disfrutado un especial donde han conocido mucho más acerca de Hootie and the Blowfish, que es lo importante. I read somewhere that Hootie and the Blowfish wants now to travel the world, like, have you been in Japan? We were talking about Japan.
Not yet.
So that's a place.
Latin America, Japan, and other parts of Southeast Asia and Australia are all places that we hope to go to sometime in 1997. So we'll see.
Are you planning when you go to Latin America or Japan to change the set list a little bit just to, just to feel as you're beginning again, as like whatever, you're playing in small clubs and...
We don't really do a set list anyways. I mean, we're probably just going to feel it out, get up there, and probably the first couple shows mess it up and then try and get it back together again.
Yeah. Going to the foreign countries is always fun too, because the shows are much more intense. Because you're only playing to 500, 600 people, maybe 1,000. So it's like going back to where we came from, back to our roots. And the shows are really fun, especially for the fans.
And maybe you will be discovering new roots. Maybe when you go to Latin America, the percussion, all the drumming thing is.
That'd be great.
Afro-Brazilian.
We spent an evening in Barcelona in this club that played a lot of Latin.
Yeah, it was a Latin dance club.
Oh, it was
we had
awesome.
the best time in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I danced.
We all danced. We're bad dancers.
So best of luck for the future, man. You deserve it. Hootie and the Blowfish, ya lo saben, son 2 discos. Fairweather Johnson, Crack Review. Thank you very much, and I hope you see you next time.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And nosotros vamos despidiendo este especial. Espero que lo hayan disfrutado y será hasta la próxima con Hootie and the Blowfish.
Tracy.
Staring back at you. Did you see my lips? Oh, you're smiling right in front of me. Your father called my name, then it's